Hello, we are the Geeks and Degenerates, and today we'll continue our mind mess of movies, starting with Fight Club, and now we're talking about Shutter Island, uh, directed by Martin Scorsese. And like for years, I was told until I watched this. For years, I was told to watch it by someone our friend Edwin's very familiar with, and then when stuff went down with him, I'm like, I'm not going to listen to that person anymore. Why should I? So I just held off on it until, like, I would say recently, like somewhere the beginning of this year. I was like, I might as well watch it. So by one of my favorite directors, so why not?
This is my first time fucking watching this shit. Like, I keep seeing it in Star Movies and HBO. I was like, I would always reach it like in the middle of the movie. So I was like, I want to know what it's about from the start. I want to know what, like, people said it was like, oh, it's mindfucker. It's just a twist at the end. I was like, okay, but I want to know the whole story. So I kind of held off from it until I had to do a review on it.
Yeah. How about you, Hazel? How did you hear of this movie, and was your mind blown by the end? Not revealing too much, but yeah.
I can't quite remember how I heard of this film. It might have been like just through like the TV commercials. You know, like you're watching a show, commercial comes on. It was for Shutter Island. Might have been something like that. But yeah, the movie left my mind completely blown up by the end. Like this is definitely a mind fuck of a movie.
Yeah.
I had a headache after watching this night.
Did you take any aspirin?
No. I didn't take any pills after this. I was like, I don't trust any of y'all. Are you my mom?
Yeah, and you all already know if you're watching this video, this movie stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Mark Ruffalo, Sir Ben Kingsley, and Ted Levine, and Max von Sydow. And it's directed by Martin Scorsese, which is interesting because I never knew he could do these types of movies until recently. I'm like, man of many talents.
Yeah, like, you don't see Scorsese touch on noir, psychological horror as shit. Like, it's always like, you know,
crime families.
Mafia movies, crime family. The Departed was like his latest one before this, right?
I can't remember. Sure.
Yeah, sure. Let's say that. And this had that feel where one dude who's in the crime family, well, a mole in the crime family, starts to lose his mind.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't handle the guilt and distress of it.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I could feel the resemblance from, you know, The Departed to this.
And yeah, like getting into it, you see these two men, Chuck and Teddy Daniels, who are U.S. Marshals assigned to help find this escaped prison, and you get a bit of history that Teddy's wife was killed in the fire, and he's never really moved on from it. And like, how could you?
Yeah.
And they get to Asher Cliff, which is this mysterious island. I don't think they ever say where in the U.S. it is. But they get on the island and they meet the deputy who sets some rules. He says, this is Ward A, B, and C. Ward A is for the men, B is for the women. C is an old U.S. Civil War fort that's converted for the worst patients we have here. You're not allowed to enter unless me or Dr. Colley gives consent to it.
And they have to leave their guns.
Yeah.
And this is the part where, like, if you know what you're getting into, like, if you know that this is a psychological horror or like drama, and you know there are twists and turns at every corner, everything becomes suspicious. Like Mark Ruffalo trying to wrestle his gun out of his like holster.
Yeah.
I was like, and like Leonardo DiCaprio's just looking at it. Okay. And it kind of looks like somebody's untrained, right?
Yeah.
So that I'll get into later.
And then they meet Dr. Colley, who's played by Sir Ben Kingsley, who's the head of this institution. And you see like paintings of how they used to treat the mentally ill. You're like, well, at least they come a long way since then.
Like that show you told me about the God, what was it? Lore?
Yeah.
Yeah, the first episode was about lobotomy and like how they did shit to mental patients and how it wasn't really human.
Humane at all.
Like it's like it ain't humane at all. Like they would like beat the shit out of them, whip them, drown them, electrocute them, just to see like, hey, if we hit them hard enough, like a computer, they'll be okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
And then they come up with lobotomy, where they're like, they turn out to be docile, not knowing, like, no, that's because you've damaged the brain, you idiot.
Yeah, or that's like the most horrible part. But here they kind of acknowledge that lobotomy is not okay.
Yeah.
It's a last resort. Like this is not saving him.
Yeah.
But they know that it will probably make him less violent for the safety of others. Like if a patient becomes too violent.
Yeah. I like Dr. Colley being like, you have to understand these patients, and he refuses to call them criminals. He's just like, no, these are
prisoners,
patients.
And of course, Leonardo DiCaprio's character is kind of a skeptic on that. He's like, no, they're crazy. They don't deserve the best. They don't deserve any niceness to you, like to them.
Yeah. I mean, this is set in the 50s, so that kind of mindset, you're like, it is bad, but like, they are products of their time.
Yeah. Like, you can tell that this is 50s.
Yeah.
And then we start to get like flashbacks. I don't know what triggered it.
Yeah.
Leo starts to get like flashbacks to when he was in the war.
Yeah, when like in a concentration camp, like the moment I saw what they were wearing, I'm like, oh my, he saw some shit.
Yeah, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Dr. Colley tells them about Rachel Solando, the escapee patient, and that what she did essentially, that she drowned her family or her kids, and then just placed them around the dinner table, and now she can't accept what she's done, and she makes believe like, oh, we're still at home, I'm still at my house, the doctors and the other patients are mailmen and milkmen.
And delivery boys. God, I just couldn't handle the craziness of like the environment. Like the atmosphere. Martin Scorsese did a good job. Like this is drab. It's just like, yes, it is a mental institute.
Yeah.
And you kind of feel that where you're just like, I feel uncomfortable. I will hear people mumbling about and just like going crazy.
Yeah.
And shit made me so uncomfortable. I was like, I could never be here. I could never work here.
How did you find the environment and Dr. Colley, Hazel? Did you find it creepy like Jomar, or did you think otherwise?
Well, you know, it rang a bell with me when, like how John said, you know, he was explaining how, you know, he thought like it was a different place, you know, and the people around were different people. And my uncle, he had dementia before he passed, and he was in the hospital, and he thought that he was in a hotel in Toronto, and all the nurses were hookers.
Oh.
So that was familiar to me, like that setting, like that, how you described it.
God damn.
Yeah.
They do depict these things very, I guess, accurately from what the videos I've seen. Like, people like comparing this movie to real life mental institutes. So like, it varies, but at the same time, you won't be shocked to see. Like, if you work there, I mean, you wouldn't be shocked to encounter somebody who will act like people in this movie.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah.
And then the hunt is on for Rachel Solando, where Teddy Daniels discovers this note she left asking who the 67th patient is, and Dr. Colley's like, I have no idea what that means. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And then they search outside the lighthouse. They're like, she couldn't have escaped here. It's too dangerous. And then they go back and ask the staff. And then he's like, was there anything out of the normal? And the nurse is like, what do you mean?
Wait a minute, so everything's out of the ordinary.
Yeah. You also find out that one employee took a piss before going back to his shift. And he's like, oh, wait, I wasn't supposed to do that. My bad.
Again, it's just so odd because again, this is my first time watching this movie. If you know what the ending is, and you see this part, you're just like, wow. It's just like, wow.
Right.
No.
He also discovered that Rachel's main doctor, Dr. Sheehan, has already left the island. And again, what you mentioned, you're like, I can never look at this the same way ever again. Yeah.
No.
I did accidentally spoil myself because I was trying to remember their names, and then I went to Wikipedia and I looked at Mark Ruffles and it says Chuck, and then this, and like,
it's just like, fuck.
but yeah.
Dumbass.
Right. I also saw Teddy Daniels' other name. Like, then I looked at the screen like, oh.
No. That's just you're just like realizing everything.
Yeah. But before I got to piece the puzzles together, like, you learn that Dr. Colley refuses to give them files, and they ask why, and he's like, it's just what it is. Even when they go to Dr. Naring, they're still asking for files, and they're like, we can't give it to you because the board. And Teddy Daniels like, bullshit, the board. We are marshals. We are appointed by the law. And they're like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the board's the board, but at the same time, you're kind of off. Like, how do if it works that way? Does it? They are the law.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah, they're. That's strange. Why are they so like? Well, I'm sorry, officer. We can't give this to you. You're like, but he's a law officer.
I mean, right off the bat, you kind of start to see like Leonardo DiCaprio's character become a bit off.
Yeah.
Like he's getting mad at things that he cannot get. But you thought like, oh, he's a tough and grizzled cop.
Yeah, he very.
Well, they were asking for the patient medical records, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are protected by law, and even if you're a law enforcement officer, you're not allowed to have access to those unless there is some belief that there is evidence to a crime within the records, or that can support evidence in a crime, and then you'd have to have a court order for medical records to be unsealed and drawn into like court documentation and stuff.
Okay, now that makes more sense.
Yeah. He also really stereotypes Dr. Naring, played by Max von Sydow, because he's German. You're
German.
Like, that's not fair.
Yeah.
And he's like, keep hitting your consonants really hard. And he's like, is legal immigration a problem with you? And he's like, is there a problem with you? He's like, what's your problem, man?
Again, it's the 50s. People were very picky onto the people who they let into their,
Country.
places.
Yeah, and you see why he's so suspicious, because he was there and the
In
concentration
World War II.
camps. Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
actually, you said something that triggered something in my head. This is set in the 50s. I don't think there were those type of protections on medical records. So, yeah, I don't know then. I don't know what the situation would have been. So, what I said is wrong for the time. My apologies.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, like the Nazi guard or head tries to kill himself, but Teddy Daniels like, no, you deserve a longer death.
He just lets him bleed out because he fucks up shooting himself in the head.
Yeah,
And we do get to see like that part where they started gathering up all the guards that was in the concentration camp. Dude, the depiction of, or like the visuals of Jews coming out of a train but it looks like a sculpture.
Yeah.
It was so horrifying to me. I was like, oh
Yeah, like they
God.
froze in place.
Yeah, like they look like a wave.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't look it looks more liquid than solid.
Yeah, like the things people do to each other, especially when hate is involved, like that's just insane. But yeah, after refusing to give the documents, they're like, fine, we'll leave after tonight. We'll take the ferry. And they're like, alright, I guess you'll leave. But they can't because there's a storm. And they're like, I know what it feels like to be in a storm. I was there a few weeks ago. Just like, yeah, right.
How was it? Do it again.
I can't do the wind sound.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
No, no, it's towards the camera. But Daniels does have a vision of his wife, and she tells him that Rachel's still here, and I do love the music they play. Like, it's so calming, but yet so tragic.
And God, them depicting, what was it? Like it was the kiss or something? It was like a painting of them like hugging, as there was like ashes everywhere, it's just like leaking.
Yeah, like that painting. I don't know what you call it, but it's that painting.
It was called The Kiss or something?
It was? Okay. And then the next day, they asked Dr. Colley to interview the people who were in Rachel's therapy session. But before that, they have an interesting conversation of like the old school and then the new school of treating mental patients. Where old school's like, oh, let's just lobotomize them. They'll be calmer, they'll be more docile, we'll never have to worry about them again. And then Dr. Colley's like, well, we can also just treat them with respect and be nice.
Yeah, like he likes it to be like this, the more humane way. Because again, lobotomy's not really great.
It's not great, period. You're like, I don't know.
It's just them forcibly breaking your brain and just letting you be like,
yeah. And you're like, you know what? I think Dr. Colley's gonna be my favorite character out of this movie. And even at the end, you're like, yeah, he still is.
Yeah, and because like for a bit you're like very suspicious. Like he's very nice.
Yeah.
But why is he keeping secrets from this cop?
Yeah.
This cop. And you're like, yeah, why is he keeping secrets from this cop?
Yeah. And then later on, you're like, oh, he just started trying his best. Okay.
Yeah, he's actually a good guy.
Yeah. And then they interview the patients, and one guy attacked this, one of the nurses, or attacked the nurse, because he thought she was giving him mixed signals. Like, oh, Jesus, man.
Isn't this character where he was interrogating and scribbling on this like paper?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that guy was a piece of shit anyway.
Yeah, and then
like that guy.
You know, they were talking about Rachel Solano. Like, can you believe what she did? She should be gassed. All of them should be gassed. You're like, you want to speak?
I was like, you shouldn't say that to a World War II vet.
Yeah.
Like, at all.
Yeah. And then they interview a lady who was deemed insane because she killed her husband after he was beating her and leaving her for other women. They're like, I don't think that's insane, though. I think that's just consequences.
Yeah. But still, it's a crime. She killed her husband with an axe.
That is true.
She could have just left him.
But yeah, he keeps asking them, both of them, about Andrew Ladis. And then you find out who Andrew Ladis is. You're like, oh, he's the guy that set their apartment on fire.
But when he does, like, that one part where... What was his name again? Teddy was asking her questions.
Yeah.
She immediately grabs his book and writes something and immediately gives it back.
Yeah.
And I love that little detail where Mark Ruffalo does catch wind of it from a distance. Like, what the fuck was that?
And then, like, I do like how, like, after watching this movie, when he asks where Andrew Ladis is, she's just like, no, I don't know him. I don't know what you're talking about.
You see, like, the fear in her, like, oh, fuck. Ah, fuck!
Because if she tells the absolute truth, she's gonna end up worse than she is.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you're like, this entire time, you're like, there's something off about It's the entire place and these cops. I just don't know what it is. I can't put it together.
Yeah, it's also that like we're going nowhere with this like investigation. Like we're not getting anywhere.
Yeah, did it feel like we were going in circles in this movie, Hazel?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it definitely seemed like it was being kept in a controlled loop.
Mm.
Yeah. Which Mark Ruffalo kind of confirms when he's like, well, what if the government wanted to send you here? What if this is all planned? And Teddy's coming from like, you're right. It's because they don't want to find out that they're doing experiments on the patients here. It's like the concentration camps. And then like, again, going back, you're like, oh, no, Mark Ruffalo is going another direction and Teddy's just going completely back to shit.
I guess that was Mark Ruffalo trying to like see how far he could push it.
Yeah.
Will he believe this conspiracy that I'm gonna spout out? Or like, you know, just be like, nah, you crazy. We're not that crazy. You know, like,
And then you also find out that Teddy Daniels was part of the Dachau massacre, where they just lined up the guards and shot all of them.
yeah, where it was very odd, right? Like one ran, he got shot, but Teddy just happened to just be like, all right, pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
And then everybody just followed suit.
Yeah.
And it was just murder. Like even Teddy acknowledged like it was a horrible war crime that we did.
Yeah. But the deputy does take them back from the storm, and Collie tells them that they found Rachel, and she is exactly what he describes. Like she can't accept her reality, and does break at one point. So she thinks Teddy is her husband.
Again, if you just saw the ending of this movie and you see this scene, you're like, oh my god! No, it's so crazy! Like, holy shit!
Right.
Like, seeing him, like, reacting violently and then immediately getting a migraine after. Just like, oh my god. The mindfuckery in this film, good on you, Martin Scorsese, good on you.
Yeah. And then for the migraine, he takes aspirin, and then you go down, and then that's when you meet the warden, played by Ted Levine. You're like, holy shit, it's Buffalo Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Mr.
Where you fuck me? Sorry.
It's Mr. Dino, the guy from Jurassic World.
Mm.
And then he wakes up from this trippy dream where he sees his wife, and then the kid, and then he sees the dad in the concentration camp, and then he sees Andrew later. So like, where is this dream going? I don't understand.
Neither do I. But like, I don't know if you noticed, but when she was like, "Hey, help me hide these bodies," or like put it on the table, and he was like, "No, that's wrong." You see like the cigarette smoke going in reverse.
Yeah.
Instead of like puffing out. And I was like, cool little detail that it's like, oh, it's like a dream.
And then they, the next day, after recovering from the migraine and waiting for the storm, they sneak into Ward C. And then they find one guy they think they're looking for, and the guy tries to sneak up on Teddy Daniels, but Teddy just beats the shit out of him. And they're like, we're just supposed to capture them, not kill them, you idiot.
Yeah. But this is our first time getting into Ward C.
Yeah.
Shit is nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
Him walking around with these guys, like, trying to reach for him and shit. And just the fact that, like, these crazy people are in this awful environment, I'm like, I would have rather shot myself before going into the stages permanently.
Yeah. And then that's when he meets George Noyes, which he mentioned before, that he is the one patient who escaped and then was brought and would rather die than go back here. But George Noyes is, at least for now, not making sense, because he's like, this is your fault. You did this to me. Why man?
Yeah, like, what happened to you? Because his face is fucked up. And he's like, you did this to me. And I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, like put you back.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, okay, we're just putting it together.
Yeah. And then he sees his wife again, and he knows, like, no, man, don't listen to her. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, just get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Take the ferry. You know, she's.
Yeah. And then he meets back with Chuck, where they go to the lighthouse and they try to find a safer way to go down. But after doing a rendezvous, Teddy goes back and he just sees Chuck's body. He's like, oh no, he fell. No, my partner.
There's the part I was like, oh my god, somebody in the Institute killed him.
Yeah.
Like, is it the nurse? Is it Ben Kingsley? I don't know. He does go down, but like once he reaches the bottom floor, he does see like a light.
Yeah.
At a cave. This is the part where I get the most confused, even though knowing what the ending was. Was this all in his head? That's what I'm asking you guys. Just, is this all in his head?
Where he meets the real Rachel Solando. She tells him, like, I was scared because
she's actually a doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. How about you, Hazel? Do you think this is all in his head? Or was this the real Rachel?
Real?
Well, at the time of like watching it for the first time, you know, like I was like, oh shit, like, you know, see, these people are definitely up to no good, and you know, she's telling them like, you know, well, you haven't been taking any pills that they given you, right? At least tell me you're smoking your own cigarettes. And like he hasn't been doing any of that shit, and it's just adding up in his head. And I believe that woman is actually there in the cave. I don't think that he's hallucinating that or anything.
Oh, God. That puts more layers into this fucking story now. If it was real. Oh
yeah.
God. But like she even does say like, oh, I'm gonna like, he's like, I'm gonna come back for you. And she was like, nah, no, because I'm not going to be here when you come back. No, it's like, I'll come back to this island and rescue you. And it's like, I'm going to be gone.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck, what's happening?
I also like the line where she's like, you know, when you're deemed crazy, that's when they can do anything to you, because the world's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and you trying to prove yourself not crazy just makes you even more crazy. Or look crazy. I'm like, no, stop it. Shut up, movie, please.
And then he goes back up, and then he gets a ride from the warden, and I like this conversation when he's like, what do you think of the violence? You're pretty violent.
Like, oh, the gift from God.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Like, violence? You're pretty violent.
Like, you don't know me. Like, I do. I really do.
I've known you for a century. And I was like, what does that mean?
Like, is the warden real?
Yeah, is the warden real? I was like, what do you mean a century?
Yeah.
Like, and then he's like, oh, if I were to bite you in your eye right now, would you have been able to stop me? And he was like, you're like, crying? I was like, oh. A little bit of tension between him and the warden. Okay.
Yeah. And then he goes back to Dr. Colley, and this really messed with my mind, because he's like, have you seen my partner? And he's like, what partner? You came here by yourself.
I feel like that's where they hiccup. Like, I feel like it's not a good move to do. To a mental patient who you... Okay, look, we're already spilling the beans
like that.
on...
That really fucked with me, though, that part.
The whole, like...
When they were like, yeah, what are you talking about? What partner? You came here by yourself? I was like, oh, these motherfuckers.
You son of a bitch.
I bought Teddy's Daniels story where it's like, oh no, they kidnapped Chuck, and that's why they're denying him.
Same here. I was like, oh fuck, Chuck's fucked.
Yeah.
You gotta rescue Chuck. I like Mark Ruffalo and his chest hair. Yeah, you do see a lot of that.
Yeah. And then he decides to rescue him. He sedates Dr. Naring, blows up Ben Kingsley's car, but end up as his wife and the kid who's like, he didn't save us, or he could have saved us. Why?
Yeah. And then, like, oh, I can't leave this island without Chuck.
Yeah.
Once I get him, we're off to the ferry and we're getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah, we're bringing the law. A lot of law with us.
Yeah. He gets to the lighthouse, incapacitates a guard, takes his rifle, goes in to the lighthouse, and lo and behold, Ben Kingsley's there too.
Yeah. What does he say to him? He says something really weird to Rick.
Oh, like, why are you wet, baby?
Yeah, Rick. That's just weird. Okay.
No, because that's what his wife said.
Right.
Yeah. Like, his wife said that. And then I think the beginning of the movie.
And then we get a shit ton of bomb cells in this scene. Like, shows him a board. It's like, oh, look, Andrew Latest, Daddy Daniels. Look how they have the exact same letters. So does Rachel Solano and your wife's name. Isn't that
just
funny?
anagrams.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no. And then, like he goes on and on about, like, oh, the rifle's empty. Oh, your gun, your standard issue, like, police gun, it's just a toy.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god.
Like when he fires, when he fires it, I'm like, and you see the blood, but like a second later, it's like, don't do it, and the gun just crumbles. Rick.
No, you can see that they were delayed. Like, they're not in their head. They're not in his head. So, like, to him, he already pulled the trigger, but to them, they're like, oh, he hasn't pulled it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see how fucked up that was? I was like, and they're like, oh, don't do it.
And then the
But
other
you already did it in his head. And I'm like, oh my god.
the other bomb cells that, oh, where's Chuck? Or he's like, who's Chuck? And then in walks Mark Ruffalo. Like, no, I'm Dr. Sheehan.
Yeah, he's Dr. Sheehan. He's been his physician for 2 years.
Yeah.
So bitch. Which makes it really weird because they were like trying to paint this whole scenario for. Okay, look, we're already exposing the ending here. Ben Kingsley made this whole radical scenario for Leonardo DiCaprio, so to see if it could jog his mind into being normal. Like,
Yeah. Because the absolute truth is, he is Andrew Latest.
Yeah. But wouldn't it not work when you go, what partner? You didn't come in with a partner. Thus breaking it? I don't know. It was just odd.
Yeah.
Like for me, I believed right up until like the very moment where we find out his gun is a toy. I believed right up until that point that these people were on some tomfuckery and they were trying to keep him there, and that they did something to Chuck, and this was all one big conspiracy, and they were like trying to keep him there and shit. And then, he like fired. He was like, bah, 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 with his revolver. And I was like, yeah, that's right, motherfucker. And then I'm like, wait, what? What? And then they show that it's just a toy. And I'm like, oh my god.
Maybe I'm crazy. Okay.
It destroyed me.
Because it's like he does say, like, the shit's loaded, trust me, I can feel the weight of it. I'm like, and then it crumbles into a toy. I was like, what?
Right.
I was like, oh god, you're crazy.
And then when
Our main character's crazy this whole fucking time.
the reason Ben Kingsley's doing this is because of the same reason Rachel Solano was doing this, because she couldn't accept what she did. Couldn't accept her reality, and you discover what the absolute reality is, that Andrew's wife drowned her kids, and he was in so much grief and pain and anger and all of the above emotions that she tells him to set him free, and then he's like, I don't know what to do, but sure, bang.
Hey, like, oh, fuck. This was such a surreal scene.
Yeah.
Him going back to his, like, lake house. And his wife, like, on, like, the swing.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, how are you, honey? I was like, where's the kids? Oh, they're in school. I was like, it's a Saturday. There's no school on Saturdays. It was like, my school does. I was like,
And then he just sees the bodies, like, oh my god.
oh, ugh.
Like, he was already warned about her mental illness after she sets their own apartment on fire. Like, oh my god, everything I know is a lie, apparently.
Like,
Yeah,
God
and
damn.
see, Andrew Lattis, he is in such denial. Like, the events broke his brain so much that he has set up a fantasy for himself that he lives in. And it's something familiar and comfortable because after he came home from the war, he did become a marshal, and that's what he used to do.
Oh my god. And that was the thing that before he found out, right? Like, before he went home and pretty much lost his mind, he was that.
Yeah, and his mind.
he was a marshal. Yeah.
Yeah.
His mind also keeps resetting after every like it took 9 months for them to break it, and then it resets, and they're like, oh fuck, we have to do this all over again.
I know it wasn't 9 months. Like 9 months ago, he was able to like be okay.
Oh yeah.
Wait, I don't know. If
It was. They definitely made a point to say that it was not the first time that they have gone through this entire scenario.
Yeah, no, but this is the first time. I don't know if it's the first time, but their last ditch effort. Like they put in the effort to like give him clothes, like detective clothing, props. Everybody had to play along. And you do.
Yeah, he convinced the board to give him one more shot at trying to save him, to bring him out of it. Or they were going to lobotomize him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you do see like some of the patients stalking all the way to the nurses. I don't think those were patients. They were all in on it. I was like, oh my god. Oh my god.
And then he does confess to Kali of who he is and what he did. And then the next day you meet him and Dr. Sheehan, and then he's just like saying like, oh Chuck, don't worry, we'll escape this island. And then the doctor's just like turns to Ben King, he's like, nah, he's back to it.
Yeah. And I don't think like at this moment, okay, let's play the scene up. He says to Chuck like, hey, we're gonna get out of here, we're smarter than we think. They think. And yeah, and to Mark Ruffalo, he's like, fuck, I lost him again. And then he tells him which is worse. To to live on as a monster or die as a good man. And that's what Mark Ruffalo was like. Wait, what? I thought you reset it. Like that was supposed to be like, oh shit. He pretty much confessed that like he is still okay at this point, but chooses to get lobotomized. Because I think it leaves us to interpretation that he wants to just pretty much be like, okay, docile, just on a chair, doing nothing now. After being lobotomized, then resetting and doing the whole fucking loop again.
That is interesting.
Yeah, so that's my take on the ending. It's like he knows he will reset. That's why he's like, okay, I'm just gonna get lobotomized. Don't tell anybody about this. I just want this to be done.
What was that? Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I didn't think about it that way.
See, my take on it is just slightly different. See, I believe that he definitely is fully aware of what he's doing, and that he is pretending to have regressed so that he could just go ahead and be lobotomized. And like John said, when he says that about which is better, going on living knowing that you're the bad guy, or dying when you're the good guy, or whatever he says, that little line, right? John's right about that, right? That it was like a weird thing to say, and that Dr. Sheehan picked up on it but didn't say anything, because then Andrew got up and started to walk away. I believe that he just can't live with himself, that he did, that it worked, right? Whatever they were trying to do, it worked. And that he wasn't going to regress back to how he was, where he gets in this loop because he can't face what he did. He's come to terms now with what he has done, and he believes himself to be a monster, so he does not want to live being a monster. He would rather have people believe that he went back into regression to where he was the good guy and that they can kill him by lobotomy.
Oh my god. I like this movie. I like this movie.
Yeah.
I will come back to it. This is like the rare occasion of like a Martin Scorsese movie
As you
being
come back
watchable. Yeah.
like, you know, there's no like Henry Hill getting addicted to drugs and then blowing it all over. Like, oh no, I don't want to watch this anymore.
Or Leonardo DiCaprio just after the amount of torture he goes through being in the mob just dies at the end. Through misunderstanding.
I want to hear no smack talk about Goodfellas. Okay, you hear me, Enzo?
No, I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I love the movie. It's just like when Henry gets addicted, I'm like, I don't want to watch the third act anymore.
Yeah, because like you know,
I
it's
mean,
just downhill.
this is a true story, though.
It is. Doesn't mean I like it. Like, oh god damn it.
There's a point.
But yeah, this is a very unique Martin Scorsese movie. Like this and what's the name of the kid's movie? Hugo? You were like, directed by who?
That was directed by Martin Scorsese.
Yeah.
I love how we're. I think I noticed it now that me and Enzo are having a hard time saying Scorsese.
Yeah. It's not a common name here, so give us a break.
It's not.
But yeah, everything being said, what would you rate this?
Fuck. Look, man, I'm a first-time watcher, and yeah, like, I gotta say, this is a 10 out of 10. I like this movie a lot. Like, I can't see any fault in it. The mindfuckery, the only time when you can actually appreciate this movie is going through all the bullshit, and then once you get to the ending, finding out this was not bullshit. And you're just like, oh my god! And like the ending, like how me and Hazel pretty much talked about it, you could leave it up to interpretation. Like it could be a completely different ending for you. He could have lost his mind. We don't know. Or he was actually normal and just couldn't live with the guilt.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh god, the layers. There are rats scratching in my head because of this movie. It's really good, well written too, well performed. Mark Ruffalo and Leonardo DiCaprio did an amazing job. Ben Kingsley as well, being like this very sympathetic doctor, but at the same time you're like, there's something off about you, but it wasn't him this whole time. It was Leo. But yeah, yeah.
I'll also give this a down, like the acting and like the story. Like once the story hits the climax, like my brain goes into reverse. I'm like, so wait, oh shit, everything's just weird now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's nice seeing early Ruffalo before he becomes the Hulk. Like, oh yeah, you're always this talented, right?
Yeah, he had. Like Ruffalo, yeah, he has a special kind of hotness to him. I would like to.
That is true. Yeah, this is a good movie. I will never tell the person who recommended me to their face that they were right, but it's another story.
What person?
Yeah.
There's no person.
Yeah.
It was all in your mind. You don't have a co-host. Hazel ain't here. It's all in your mind, Enzo.
Well, I'm gonna call the hospital now.
What hospital?
Oh,
You're
no.
already there!
Oh, no! Oh, I'm kidding. But yeah, 10 out of 10. How about you, Hazel?
Okay, listen, I do not say this lightly, alright? My rating is being given to this movie solely, explicitly, on how much it mind-fucked me for the twist at the end. 10 out of 10.
Let's fucking go!
Across the board, 10 out of 10.
Across the board, 10 out of 10. This is a really good movie and really
That is
recommend
the
it.
it's the sole reason. Like I can give you other reasons, but that's the only one you need, or at least that I need.
But yeah, as you can see for this week, we're talking about more grounded mindfuck movies. Not really like the Christopher Nolan or Denis Villeneuve. They'll have their time and place, but for now, we'll be talking about the more grounded ones, and then the last one will be we'll be going back to David Fincher to talk about a more recent mindfuck movie, and I can't wait to do that. And I don't think Drummer knows what I'm hinting at, but that's fine. So we're surprised.
All the time.
But yeah, before we end this video, I have a question for y'all.
We're not real.
Never mind. I have a question for myself. Hey Enzo, what's your favorite Martin Scorsese movie?
Wait, what did you say?
What's your favorite Martin Scorsese movie for both of you?
Wow. Besides Shutter Island, like I really like this movie now. Probably one of my favorites. I would say The Departed.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, how about you, Hazel?
Okay, listen. I love Martin Scorsese, right? Like he's a wonderful, wonderful director. Definitely one of the best. Like you said, this one obviously you mentioned The Departed. We had a brief mention of Goodfellas. Like Martin Scorsese is amazing. I love Gangs of New York. That movie is so great.
You good? Hello?
You good, Hazel?
Hello?
Wait, the Gangs of New York one, was that your final statement, or were you still talking, or did you get cut off? I'm not sure, there was just a long silence.
Yeah, you're like, I guess she's done? Or you were just thinking?
I mean, okay, listen, I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I was gonna keep going, but then I made the split-second decision to just stop. And so it was awkward when I did it.
And I was like, is she done? Because it didn't sound like you were done talking.
Yeah, so is Gangs of New York your favorite Martin Scorsese movie?
Oh my god.
I mean, I guess it's hard. It's so hard, at least for me, to pick a favorite of his, especially because Goodfellas is so fucking amazing. Probably Gangs of New York. I'll say Gangs of New York is my favorite Scorsese film.
Okay.
It's always been a tie for me, at least, between Goodfellas and The Wolf of Wall Street. Wolf of Wall Street, because I can go back to it more. It's a bit, especially I can watch it through and through and not be like, I don't want to watch this part anymore. It's kind of rough.
Oh yeah. Like
that kind of movie also like really suits. Like it has this kind of chaotic energy to it that just suits Martin Scorsese. Like everything about The Wolf of Wall Street just shouts it's a Scorsese film. Like in the chaotic god damn it, like containment that it has. It's like a contained chaoticness.
Yeah. And
I think that there's like a term I'm looking for in my head. I can't think of it right now, so I'm trying to describe the term.
And the fact that it introduced everybody to Margot Robbie is not a bad thing. The fact that it introduced the world to Margot, yeah. Very talented actress.
I love her.
Yes.
Many talents.
Yes.
Many talents.
Many. Well, that's enough for a sneak peek of the general.
I mean, there's specifically two I can think of right now.
Oh my god! I'm glad Hazel one day.
She said it.
Oh shit!
She walked so we could run.
But yeah, that's enough of a sneak peek of our degenerate side here at Geeks and Degenerates. yeah, that's been our video on Shutter Island. What do you guys think? Were your minds as equally as blown? And like, before we move on to our last mindfuck movie, what's your favorite mindfuck movie? Could be Inception, it could be Interstellar, could be anything else. Please comment, tell us down in the comments. And if you want to see more of us on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and ding the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. We also have a Facebook, Spotify, and TikTok, all under the same name. Facebook to see us react to trailers, stream video games, and about our lives from time to time. And Spotify to hear us on the road. Maybe you need some comfort after watching Shutter Island, and when you listen to this, you can relate to us. Yes. TikTok.
Besides hearing other kinds of voices, you can hear ours.
Yeah. Hear the young voices. TikTok to see our best and funniest moments. Individually, though, you can find me at Gandalfus995 on IG and Twitter. How about you guys?
Oh, you can find me at JOHN_on Instagram. It is my art. How about you, Hazel?
Sapphire Hazel 7, it's the number 7 for IG and Twitter, and then just Sapphire Hazel for YouTube and Twitch. And as far as Mindfuck movie goes, I would also recommend Contact and Arrival if you like space stuff, alien stuff, whatever. Those are good Mindfuck movies in that type of genre.
I have yet to watch Arrival. I would say Annihilation as well.
Oh.
Yeah, we should do that.
Yeah. But before that, it was Ex Machina, which is also pretty good. But yeah, that's all the time we have for this video at least. We'll see you on the next one. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.